forewarning about the video you're about to watch, and I only realize it when I get to the top 5 books, okay? So 2 of the books I read this year were my own books, but I did not include them in the ranking because, like I said, they're my own books. I read 40 books this year, including the 2. I should have been ranking 38 to 1 because I didn't include the 2 books I wrote this year into my ranking of worst to best. But I did count down from 40 to 1, so the numbers are wrong the whole video. So if you're confused by that, I'm so sorry. If you're overwhelmed by that, I'm so sorry, but how the fuck do you think I feel? And no, I'm not gonna re-record the video. Fuck you. It's like the middle of the night. Let's just get into it. What's going on, y'all? So originally, this video was gonna be both a book tag and a ranking from worst to best of all the books I read in 2025, but I'm gonna skip the book tag part just because I don't feel like it. This video is coming out a little bit late because I was house sitting, so I had to wait until I had all my books with me to do the ranking, but I'm finally home and I can finally do the ranking. I read 40 books this year, 2 of which are my own books, and we'll get into that, but I read 40 books this year, which is a lot less than or not a lot less, but it's less than last year simply because I had some stuff happened this year. I mentioned that 2 of the books I read this year are my own books, and I'm just gonna include them in honorable mentions. I'm not gonna include them in the ranking because I don't want to include my own books in the ranking. Last year I did just because I was like, fuck it, but like I don't want to do that this year, so these are my own books. I read both of these this year multiple times because I was in the publishing process of Bloodless Sun. This is my first book, Blackened, second book, Bloodless Sun. They're in a trilogy. The third book is in the works at the moment. If you're interested, you can check out the link in the description because they will be linked in the description. But yeah, honorable mentions, 2 of the books I read this year are these. Okay, let's get into the 40 books I read this year. Coming at number 40, we have Heart of Darkness. I didn't like this book. First of all, I don't know what the hell was going on the entire time. And second of all, there was like a really excessive use of the N-word the entire time, so I was like, ew, okay, that's really annoying. I can't say much about this book other than I was fucking bored, confused, and Heart of Darkness, number 40. Number 39 is kind of here for the same reason other than the N-word. We have Nightwood. This is the same deal. I didn't understand what was going on and I just was confused the whole time, but like it was a short book, so I finished it. Same with Heart of Darkness, like that was a short book, so I finished it. So number 39, Nightwood. Number 38, we have Ethan Frome. I had to read this book for school, and it was kind of drama, kind of boring, kind of all the goods, all the bad. It was fun to analyze all the fun stuff. I was just rolling my eyes the whole time. The symbolism one was cool though, and I wrote like a kind of cool paper for it for my English class. Number 37, Scarlet Pimpernel. The only thing I have to say about this book is the musical is like a million times better, and I can't believe it was even recognized enough to get a musical adaptation. I like the musical a lot just because I like the music. It was alright, but I extremely highly much would rather watch the musical. Finally getting into some physical books that I own. Number 36, we have Eye of the World. So I am continuing on with the series, with the Wheel of Time series, because I just like what this book was setting up. I like the ideas presented here, but as we know, this book was a fucking slog for me. I had to whip out an audiobook too. Like I was so bored or just tired of it. Like I feel like it was a little too long. I feel like this could have been a lot better had it been like 300 pages shorter. It was a good book, it wasn't bad, but I was just really bored and waiting for it to give me something. But since it's the first book in a 15 book long series, it did not give me what I wanted. It's okay though, because it's the first book in a 15 book long series, it's fine. Yes. Number 35, The Edge of Sleep. I don't remember this book. I don't remember this book. I read it at a really weird time in my life. So, but I remember I laughed, and I remember really liking the epilogue, and it was like apocalyptic, so that was kind of cool. It was like one of the first ever apocalyptic books I've ever read. The Edge of Sleep was a cool concept, that's all I remember, and I couldn't tell you a single character's name. Number 34, we have A Clockwork Orange. I really appreciate the ambition with this book, and I know the significant impact it had. I know it has a movie adaptation, which people have said is better than the book. I will say I really do like that this book was written in such a unique style. I love seeing just like insane writing styles when I'm reading because it's like a breath of fresh air. It's literally a breath of fresh air. I love it. But with that, it was hard to read because of how uniquely it was written. Number 33, My Year of Rest and Relaxation. This book wasn't that special. It wasn't bad, it wasn't good. It's like what I would consider a very mid book. I feel no type of way about it. I could have gone without it, but I'm happy I read it. Number 32 is Year of Wonders. I actually do like this book, but it's so low on my list because I feel like I didn't read bad books this year. Last year, I read a lot of like bad books because I would read bad books on purpose, but like this year I read only what I wanted to, and it came out with me only not liking 2 books I read out of 40. So that's like, I feel like that's an achievement. Year of Wonders was like about this village that gets overcome by this plague, and they're accusing people of witchcraft, and the main character, I remember I really liked reading from her perspective. I also remember my washer and dryer was broken at the time I was reading this book, and I would just take it to the laundromat and read it. Sorry, I gotta go through my pile of books. I have a giant pile of books. Number 31. Restaurant at the End of the Universe. This is the second book in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The first book I read on my road trip to South Dakota. Second book I read on my road trip this summer to New Mexico. I love going on like rustic, I guess you could say, road trips, like nowhere special. Like South Dakota and New Mexico aren't necessarily special places, but they're special to me. A lot of books are negative. There's a lot of negative things. You want to see negative things happen to these characters because you want to be emotionally invested. But The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy creates conflict without it mentally fucking with your mental health, which we'll get into that. Love Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy so far. I'm gonna reach for these books every time I want, just something fun and something lighthearted while I'm doing something fun, such as road tripping. Number 30 is The Rebel Nun. Well, I really liked this as a historical fiction type book. I remember I really loved the writing style. I love the themes. I love the main character, though I don't remember her name. Oops, I have a bad memory. Anything from like January to June of this year, I don't remember that well. It was not okay, and I wouldn't say I'm like so good now, but like I was forced into recovery out of nowhere, and it was just fucking horrible, and just it like changed the way I think, the way like I operate. I don't feel embarrassment anymore, just because everything that happened those 6 months was so embarrassing. So I don't remember a lot, but The Rebel Nun I remember was written really nicely, and it was like recommendable. Like if someone's like, I want historical fiction, I would recommend The Rebel Nun. Number 29 is We'll Prescribe You a Cat. So this book is like a bunch of little short stories, I guess you could say, about this clinic that people go to, and it's like a magical clinic that appears, and people will go to it, and then the doctor's like really weird, and he's like, we'll prescribe you a cat. And they give like these people who are struggling with insomnia or anger issues or whatever the hell they were, a cat to live with. And then when the person goes to return the cat, the clinic disappears. So I love cats. In May, I lost my childhood cat that I grew up with. She meant the world to me. She was like a daughter to me. Okay, I still cry every like week or so about losing my cat. And I read this book like about a month after I lost her. I've read a lot of books centering cats this year just because of Missy. Like, I miss her so much. And books help me get through a lot of things. Like every time I'm in a bad place, I'm just like, but I have so many books left to read, you know? So it's like, okay. I was reading a lot of books about cats, and it kind of touched my heart, like prescribing people cats to like fix their life, because it's like, yes, sign me up. Okay, number 28, What Moves the Dead. I like the writing, and I like the fact that it was like a little novella that I could just crack open. This one was very plot driven. We'll get into the second one because I did read the second one as well. This story was very plot driven, very like atmospheric. It had good horror elements. It kept me like, but the only thing about it is that I had no special feelings about it. It was kind of just a book I read. I feel positively about What Moves the Dead. Number 27, The Black Hunger. I have good memories about this book. I do. I remember reading this at the pool. It was queer, and it had like cool like Buddhist mythology and stuff that I thought was also really interesting. For some reason, I have a feeling that the ending was really tragic, because it was. I remember the ending. Oh, fuck. This was a good book. Okay, I actually really liked this book. You have the main story, and then the main story kind of breaks off into like this middle section where it's just like a manuscript written by someone who was witnessing all these supernatural things that were going on. And that middle section is this entire manuscript, and then the ending goes back to the plot that was at the first part of the book. And it's done so well that you're like, wow, that's a really interesting way to set up a book, and I admired it a lot. Number 26, we have In Solitude Drive. I read a lot of self-published books this year because I'm a self-published author, and I love to support self-published authors' books. And with self-published books, you get plots and stories that you would not ever see in traditionally published books, and it makes them so special. This book is so cute. It's a sci-fi YA book. It is the cutest thing in the world. It healed a part of my inner child that I didn't know was hurting. The little plot in this book was really cool. Like, it was something, it's like a family movie. Like, it's giving family movie. I love this book. Number 25 is another self-published book. We have Morals in the Margin. I will repeat what I just said. You get plots you would never see in traditionally published books with self-published books. The author said that he based this book off of like a nightmare he had, and I would have never known that had he not put it in his dedication. I really love the characters in this book. I like the music references, the vibes. It's very like, much like it's set up and presented. It's very dreamlike. It's giving 80s thrasher film. Where's this book? Number 24, another book with a cat as a plot device. The Master and Margarita. I really love Russian literature. It's like somehow both witty and tormented. I love Russian literature. I was thoroughly entertained by this book. I love like the fun little like mystical elements of it. I love like how you have this little crew and you're just like following them as they're like wreaking havoc on everyone. A character that I surprisingly connected with a lot was Ivan. Not in the sense that I related to him, but in the sense that I was like, I love you. And I hope the best for you. I love you, Ivan. Number 23, we have Not a Monolith. This is another self-published book. It's a little poetry collection inspired by the author's experience as a Black woman. I have a few things that are tapped just because like these are such easy poems to revisit, and she even adds like little notes. What are they called? She calls them musings, and they have numbers, and I think the musings are the most easy to revisit because they're like a sentence long. I'm not a poetry person, but this was such like a special collection to consume, and I would definitely reread it because of course I read it in like a day. Yes. 22, we have The Melancholia of the Grotesque. This was another book I annotated this year. I was in the hospital. I was in the hospital through like the last 3/4 of this book, and it's a short book, so like a majority of the book I was in the hospital. Fuck, okay, this book was fun to visit while I was in the hospital, struggling, crying every day, wanting to go home, begging for my freedom. It was nice to just like read quietly, retreat into my little shell and read while I was in the hospital, and I appreciated the style of this book. It's like, you can tell that the author is very influenced by classical literature and is inspired to write horror short stories. This is another self-published book. We're hitting all the self-published books right now. Well, not all of them, but fun horror gothic short story collection by a self-published author. Highly recommend. Number 21, we have I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. I got hospitalized in January, like late January. I read this book in early January. So this was at the height of my eating disorder, before the hospital and all that. I read it at the time for obvious reasons. I heard what it talked about and I wanted to feel seen. And feel seen I did, because Jennette McCurdy talks about her experience with bulimia, which was very similar to what I had. I had anorexia binge and purge type. What makes anorexia binge and purge type different from bulimia is one's weight. So I had anorexia binge and purge type. Jennette McCurdy says that she had bulimia, but it's the same fucking two sides of the same coin, if you will. So everything that I was guilty about and disgusted with myself about that my eating disorder made me do was really just talked about in this book as if it like wasn't this like individual experience that I had that I thought was individual. I was very uncomfortable with myself for some of the things I was doing. I was gonna say something else, but I forget what it was. It was kind of important. Oh, when it comes to eating disorders, you look at everyone else with eating disorders and you're like, they're all so perfect, they're all so clean. But in reality, I think that as much as someone might present their eating disorder as a clean thing, as this perfect thing, as this ultimate state of control, I feel like everyone who has an eating disorder is secretly doing disgusting things, is secretly very uncomfortable. It kind of ripped off that like tragically beautiful shade that everyone seems to put over eating disorders and reveals to you what it's truly like, and the anxiety of having an eating disorder and hiding it from everyone. It captures that feeling so well, and it's like almost like it like shakes me to my core to even think about it, because it's like, how the fuck was I living that way? Number 20, City of Incurable Women. This is another one that I love the writing style. It's written super uniquely. It's like, I guess you could call this a short story collection, but all the stories feel vaguely connected. I don't know, I just thought the short stories were written in a style that really inspires me personally, because it was kind of similar to what I do in some of my like free writing, I like to call it, because it's not novels, but like this type of stuff I do in my journal, or the type of short stories I write, which are very meandering, dreamlike, disoriented, kind of mad writing, ramblings, if you will. So I really liked this book because it presented that writing style as something that was publishable. Number 19. Number 19, we have Bury Your Gaze. This book, I love the characters. I love that an asexual character was like one of the main reasons why the hive mind AI villain was defeated, because he couldn't comprehend asexuality. Yes, I love ace representation. This is about a gay writer in Hollywood who is kind of struggling with the fact that the industry wants him to write stories that treat gay people as nothing more than plot devices. People's queer stories as nothing more than plot devices to be used to entertain people. But this writer is gay and he feels wrong writing queer stories that way. So it captures that whole idea in a kind of thrillery, scary way. Number 18, we have Perks of Being a Wallflower. This book didn't do for me what I feel like it did for other people, but that's not to say it was a bad book. Like, I enjoyed this book. It was short. It was easy to understand. It's like I remember the last like 3 chapters really like hit me. I was like, oh fuck, that hurt. Like, I will say though, this book is like extremely overhyped. So like, don't go into it thinking it's gonna change your life, but it is a good book. Number 17, In the Valley of the Sun. I read this book around Halloween, which I thought was perfect because it takes classic vampires, like what you think when you think vampires, like they hate the sun, they eat people, they can get into people's heads, they kiss each other. It takes that and it places you in Texas, in this very rural western setting. The main character is like a cowboy who has been turned into a vampire and his like beast is awakening. I don't know, I love horror and I guess I love vampires too. This was gritty, this was gross, but it was also like really cool to read and I got through it really fast. Also the cover, love the cover. It looks like a 80s metal album cover, which I think is really awesome because I love metal. I love 80s metal, I love metal. I love this book. This book was metal as fuck. Number 16, Fireside Gothic. Another short story collection. More cats. So fun. Each of these stories had, like I said, somewhat of a theme of cats. They kept showing up. It explored grief and like put you in these very spooky settings, and it just like, even if they were short stories, it just threw you into the story and you were like, and I was like just like enthralled the whole time with each story. Number 15, we have Girl Interrupted. Again, this was another read from my like struggling era. I wouldn't say I'm out of the struggling era, but it's not as like debilitating because there's not so many eyes on me. It's easier to struggle when people aren't fucking looking at you. I read this book because one of my closest friends recommended it to me. It was hard to get through just because like it's just not a fun book, but like if you're interested in stories that centers mental health, this is kind of a cool book to read. Like I know a lot of people are into that, like the whole genre, like Perks of Being a Wallflower, Girl Interrupted, like the whole like mentally ill main character genre. This is in that vein. I think it's a memoir, or maybe it's a mixture between fiction and memoir. I don't fucking know, but it feels like a memoir, so keep that in mind. Number 14, Dead Man's Bridge. This is a self-published book. I really liked this book because it follows 2 twins who go in completely opposite directions in life, but they unravel mentally just the same. The epilogue is written in second person, which I thought was really cool. The coolest epilogue I think I've ever read. It has become like one of my favorite like literary fiction novels just because the writing style is fucking beautiful. The characters are really, you're like really invested in this family and these characters and like what's gonna happen, what they're gonna do. And it has become one of my top, like, I'm gonna recommend this book if you just want like a general fiction book to read. This has become my number 1 recommendation because I love it that much. That was 14? Yes. 13. The Crucible. I read this for school and I was pleasantly surprised. I never thought I would like something I read for school so much. Outside of like Shakespeare and like old like 16th century stuff, this was like the first play I've ever read. It's like the first play I've read that's like not Shakespeare or like Christopher Marlowe, but I really liked it. I found myself like genuinely interested in this play. Like I wasn't expecting that. but I read it in a day and it was pretty awesome, and I can't remember what my paper was about, but I wrote a paper about it. Number 12, Cats Disappeared from the World. I read this the same week Missy died because it found me the same week Missy died. She had died, and then like a day or two later, I was scrolling on TikTok and someone was recommending books, and they recommended this book. I was like, just based on the title, that sounds perfect for what I'm going through right now. And perfect it was. It's an exploration about grief, but it uses elements such as making deals with the devil and cats to push this idea of grief. The main character's grieving his mother, but I was grieving my cat. I feel like I was an asshole, but this book is still really special to me because it helped me to kind of process a little bit of like how overwhelmingly sad I was about my cat. Y'all don't understand how important that fucking cat was to me. Ugh, I'm still so hurt. Okay, Cats Disappeared from the World was an amazing book. If you're struggling with any sort of grief, it's kind of a fun way to process your grief because it's not a sad story. It's kind of a fun story. So number 11, Don't Let the Forest In. So this was my first exposure to YA horror, and I liked it. I liked the prose. I thought they were very lyrical, but like I said, it's YA, so it's very consumable. I read it very fast. I liked the characters a lot. What the fuck was I saying? I got interrupted. My mom came in. Also, excuse any background noises. I should have said this at the beginning of the video. Excuse background noises. I, first of all, don't live alone, and second of all, this is a low budget operation. Don't Let the Forest In, or fucking... Remember, I was talking about the characters, so let's get into that. I liked the characters. I liked the relationship between the two main characters. I liked the vibes of everything. The plot twists were pretty cool, too. Like, I didn't see them coming, so that was kind of awesome. Yeah, this book was awesome. Top 10. We got The Resurrectionist. I read this when my niece was born. I was reading it at the hospital. I finished it at the hospital. I love this book. I love the two main characters. I love their dynamic. I love how witty the love interest is. And I also just love the vibes. What was I saying? I thought the ending was kind of anticlimactic, but like the entire book makes up for it because the entire book is like so entertaining. Loved like watching all these characters just like have fun. Well, not have fun, commit crimes and dig up dead bodies, but it was great. Number 9. We have Damien. This was probably the most philosophical book I read all year, and I really liked the writing style. It had an extreme influence on my own writing when I read it. You have Sinclair and Damien. They're like interlinked the entire book, and then they triple interlink with Damien's mom. And it's like this insane like spiritual awakening coming of age story. Number 8, What Feasts at Night. Okay. We're finally here because I mentioned the first book, What Moves the Dead. It was kind of lower on the list. This book developed the main character, his name is Alex. This book developed the main character so much more than in the first book, because in the first book, I kind of didn't realize it when I read it, but Alex was kind of just drifting through the story. But in this book, Alex is developed as a actual character. You get all the details about, what is the pronoun? It's like his culture. He goes by like a specific pronoun that exists in his culture, but in English it would be he would be considered like a he or something. So I'm just gonna say he, but you get all these details about his culture. If I could just remember what the pronoun was. His pronouns are not he, him. They're pronouns that exist outside English. That's what I'm trying to say. Because he's like a sworn in soldier, and their pronouns change when they're given this identity as a soldier. But it kind of dives into his past, his culture, his relationships, develops him a lot more, so I thoroughly enjoyed the second book. Like, the first book did something for me, but the second book did for me what the first book didn't. But when I read the first book, I didn't know that it wasn't doing these things for me. So when I got into the second book, I was like, wait, this is doing these things for me. And I really enjoyed it. Guys, I messed up all my numbers. Guys, I fucked up all the numbers. It's because I didn't include these in the ranking. So I was ranking from 40 to 1 when I should have been ranking from 38 to 1. Yes! Yes, I'm so smart. Okay, so like, let's just... 8. Well, that brings us to the top 5. We're skipping 6 and 7 because I accidentally ranked 40 to 1 and I didn't realize until now. Top 5. Yes! The Night House. Fuck, I don't want to talk about this book. I both love and hate this book so much. I was severely emotionally impacted by this book. Like, there were times where I just like had to close it. I was like, fuck this book, bro. Fuck this book. Fuck your mom. Fuck your dad. And fuck The Night House. Because why was this book so intensely inconsiderate of my well-being. Plot twist after plot twist after plot twist. The sections were each, you felt like you were in a different sector of the main character's mind, and you almost could not trust him one fucking bit. Actually, no, you could not trust him one fucking bit. How dare you tell this story to me, but also, how dare you? Also, the cover is really cool. I kind of want to own this book, but I also told myself that I low-key don't want to own it. I tell myself that I want to own every 5-star I ever read. But this book I feel different about because, like I said, I both love it and hate it. I think about it so often, and I was so emotionally impacted that I have to put it in my top 5. Like, I'm so passionate about this book. I don't know how I feel about this book because I feel so strongly about it. I can't put how I feel about this book into one word. I love this book. Actually, maybe I should buy it. I really like the cover. I should buy this book. I should buy this book. Leave a comment below if I should buy this book. Number 4, of course, we have Words of Radiance. I love the Stormlight Archive so far. I love the ending of this book. If you've read the Stormlight Archive, y'all remember what the fuck Adolin does at the end of this book? I can't wait to get into it with Rear because what the fuck? You can't just end the book after that. Especially since Adolin is one of my favorite characters. I think after Shallan, Adolin's my favorite character, and of course my king, Kaladin. This was another book I kind of read in the hospital. I read like maybe 100 to 200 pages in the hospital. So like I also associate this book with the hospital, but I associate it outside of the hospital as well because I finished it when I was home. I thought this book was even better than The Way of Kings, which was my number 1 book of 2024, but this is my number 4 book of 2025. I did like it more than The Way of Kings. I guess, like I said, I had a better reading year this year, so. Number 3, The Count of Monte Cristo. I don't care if you're intimidated. I don't care if you don't read classics. I don't care. Read this book. Read it now, as soon as possible. This is my new favorite classic of all time because it's so layered. It's so layered. It's so good. It's the best revenge story I've ever read. And I especially like when he's the Count. Also, the prison stuff is really cool as well. Let me tell you, this book starts off with a fucking bang and it doesn't release you. I'm getting a little delirious. I'm kind of tired. It's kind of the middle of the night. Number 2, we have Morningstar, which is the last book in the first trilogy in the Red Rising series. Okay, these books just kept getting better and better for me. Red Rising was good. I remember I almost like didn't actually kind of like it because I was kind of bored by it. I go into Golden Sun. I fucking love that book. Like, I was so close to giving it a 5-star, but it just didn't give me that. Morningstar gave me that. This was another book I read in New Mexico. I love Darrow. Okay, we've made it. Number 1 book of the year, and it's not one I expected to be number 1 at all. When I bought this book, I was not expecting it to ever take the number 1 spot. But we have Pew. The writing is so fucking perfect. It's so raw and honest. Like, you know how your brain works where you'll have a thought and you're like, how did I come to this thought? But it makes sense in your head why you went from one thought to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. This book does not skip through the next, the next, and the next until it makes sense. No, it goes through each stage, the not making sense, meandering, and then it goes, oh, it finally makes sense. The main character of this book is raceless, genderless, ageless. So it doesn't fit into these boxes that this congregation, that it sleeps in their church and they find it. This congregation wants to put Pew, which is the main character, into a box, but they just don't fit into a box because no one can figure out what the fuck they are. Like, are you old or are you young? Are you boy? Are you girl? Are you white? Are you black? No one can figure it out. And it's so good. It's a really good commentary on identity, especially in the church. How certain congregations will want to define you by what class you fall into, or what race you are, or what your sexuality is, what your age is. This book puts this thing into this setting that is completely run by identity, and these people panic. They don't know what to do when they can't put someone into a box. It's very nice. I could write an essay about this book. It is the most stunning thing I have ever read, and I'll think about it forever. So that's the 40 books I read this year. Guys, what do we think? It was such a good reading year for me. It was a tough year for me too. It was actually a really fucking shitty year. I hated 2025. What is that? Okay, yes. Fuck 2025, but I read some awesome books. I don't think I've ever given this many 5 stars in one year, by the way. I gave 5 stars this year. What the fuck? Anyway, thanks y'all so much for watching my little ranking. Even though I messed up all the numbers. That's okay. It's fine. I have lots of video ideas for 2026. So I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Peace.